live long and prosper.
I was going into Toshi Station to pick up some power converters.
Lilu Dallas Multipass.
Shut up and take my money.
By Grabthar's hammer. What a saving.
One does not simply walk into Mordor.
X never, ever marks the spot.
Winter is coming.
You're a wizard, Harry.
Stay a while and listen.
Hey, old Kermit the Frog.
Your ties are cool.
So say we all.
This is a Play on Nerds.
Welcome, ladies, gentlemen, boys, and girls of all ages, to the very special episode 217 of A Play on Nerds. I'm one of your very special hosts, Steve.
And I'm Jarman.
And we are very special.
We are in so many ways.
Well, this week on this very, very special episode, in honor of Mickey 17, who is actually one of our trailer review picks a few episodes back, its final release, we want to look at a different sci-fi story of a man trying to find himself, clones, mayhem, sci-fi madness, and of course we're talking about the Michael Keaton classic Multiplicity
from 1996,
starring Michael Keaton and Michael Keaton and Michael Keaton and Michael Keaton
and Andy McDowell
and Andy McDowell in there. But before we get to that, Jarman, what have you been up to since last time we talked?
So you might have heard from our last episode that a car had crashed into our home. So we've been working on, since we're renters, getting the insurance company to come out for the owner of the home they evaluated the damage. And so the next step is to get a few contractors to come out to look at fixing the front of the home. And then they'll decide which price they like. So it's a long process. And then they'll eventually start construction. The property management company says they think they could be taking it down as slow as 2 days of construction to fix it. I think that's very highly optimistic. The entire front foyer and front of our home is completely smashed in. There might be some foundational damage. We'll see. But if not, they're saying 2 days. We'll see what happens. So that'll be fun. And then I've been working like crazy, which bothers me too, because if the construction, it's loud. I can't record my audiobooks.
Yeah.
So that sucks. But I'm going to forget about all that for the next 2 days after today, because tomorrow is my birthday. And I'm celebrating by doing a Lord of the Rings marathon, followed by a Hobbit marathon the next day. And I'm inviting anyone who wanted to come to the house to watch it. And we'll have Hobbit-themed snacks, Middle-earth themed things.
It's all beer.
No,
it's all beer and pipe weed.
Pipe weed. There'll be mulled wine. There'll be lembas bread. Ooh. And we're even going to do a sign out front with a destruction in front of our house. It'll say the destruction of Helm's Deep. So it'll be like that. Basically, there's a battle that happened out front. So yeah, it's going to be fun. And then I'll get right back to work next week. So that's going to be...
Uruk-hai, enter here.
Uruk-hai, come to the front. Everyone else to the back. I like it. But Steve, what have you been up to since last time?
Oh, man, I strung some days I already had off together with a few days I requested off and had a full 6 days off.
Whoa.
I just had time off for like Christmas and New Year's, but I was sick for almost all of it. So this felt like an actual relaxing 6 days off. But we didn't just relax. Anna and I did some stuff that we kind of took care of right when we moved in and said it's good enough for now, and then we just never went back to it. So we went and we rearranged our kitchen storage, got rid of a ton of stuff, because when we moved here, people donated things, said, we picked up dishes for you and stuff, and we just went, okay, just put it in the kitchen. And we ended up with just bunches of stuff we didn't need and didn't use. We got Anna storage for her baking stuff. And so now that all has a home and freed up even more room. I put up hooks in our room so I can stop just putting my pants on the floor and then tripping over them in the night.
Bad, Steve, bad.
Hey, I'm helping myself here.
That's right.
We got Dilly a new bookcase that's shaped like a dinosaur. It is the cutest thing ever.
Adorable.
It was like $100 at Costco. It had so many pieces. It took two of us, two adults with like a background in putting shit together in theater and power tools and shit, an hour and a half to get this thing together.
Oh my God.
With so many pieces. But we got him his own bookshelf, which means we took that bookshelf and moved it into Joyce's room because she's reading a lot. And she just had stacks of books everywhere. And it was becoming a fucking nightmare.
I love it.
So now she has a bookcase. He has a bookcase. We did that. We finally went and we've been trying to go and do a hot pot date for friggin' forever. And we kept getting sick and just nonstop. We finally got it. And we went and just ate so much spicy meat and delicious, just hot, steamy vegetables. And it was just incredible. It was totally worth the wait.
Love it. I haven't done that yet. I want to do that with Jolie as well.
Totally worth it. Just make sure you find a legit place. Now, Orlando, I can't imagine that's a problem.
Oh, yeah. We have a couple of them here that are highly rated, so I want to check it out.
If it doesn't have a sauce bar, you just leave.
Yeah.
That's what you need to know. If there's no sauce bar, it's not a legit place.
Good to know.
And then exciting family news. My cousin Tessa, who you've met on several occasions, and her husband Dave are pregnant and having a little girl.
Oh, adorable.
And so that was exciting news that we got this week when we hung out with them, and she couldn't continue to hide that she wasn't drinking.
Right. She liked her drinks.
And then the next day after that, we got up and we went to see Captain America Brave New World, which was just okay.
That's kind of what I've heard. It's not bad. It's not great. It's just fun. It's fine.
It is okay at best.
Okay. That's good.
It could have been a Disney Plus series, and that would have been all right, too.
Was there a interesting, without spoilers, was there an interesting after credits scene? Well, crap. Let's hope at least for that.
It was interesting, but as they've already told us, like, what the next Avengers film is about. Like, they've already literally given it a title that tells us at least approximately what it's about. It wasn't anything monumental.
Gotcha.
Because they've already told us what way we're going. Versus with the original scenes for, like, because whenever anyone thinks about the amazing stingers from Marvel, it's all phase 1.
Yep.
And it's because we didn't know where they were going yet. They didn't quite know where they were going yet.
Yes, we were figuring out as they were figuring it out.
Enough of a point. But now they've got shit scheduled out until 2032 or something, or 2036.
And they're announcing
We know exactly what they're doing. So all the mystique is gone.
I could see that, yeah. I haven't seen it yet, but we had a friend that we saw every Marvel movie with, but she got a boyfriend and lives with them now. And so our tradition of always seeing is first when they came out, we would see it with her every single time. And now she just saw it with him and didn't even ask us if we wanted to see it. So I'm a little...
I thought you were going to say, like, and she got lame. She got lame.
She got lame in a way by ignoring us and our want to see Marvel movies and just didn't coordinate with us. And now we're like, when are we going to see it? Who knows? We'll figure it out. It's a little upsetting. Yeah. But that brings us to some nerdy news.
Yeah.
It's time for Nerdy News.
All right, so this segment's called It's Not Written in the Stars. So basically, Psychology Today did a study comparing the results of 152 astrologers who thought they could predict someone's personality compared to random chance. So basically, it's testing out the entire theory of astrology and if it actually does anything, or these experts in astrology, if they can predict personalities or give them their star chart, that kind of thing. So the test was 12 multiple choice questions for the astrologers based on 43 questions that were asked to people about their life. So basically, they had people that they got for this study, asked them 43 questions. And then once the astrologers got the answers, they gave the astrologers 12 multiple choice questions. Apparently, these questions were similar to those asked by astrologers to determine a person's astrological chart. So basically, it's how they have these answers from people and they can guess what your astrological chart is. Like if you're a Pisces with a moon rising or whatever, that kind of thing. Because there's more layers to it than just being a Pisces. There's your Pisces and then you're a Aquarius moon or whatever. It's all bullshit. Anyways, then the astrologers were given 5 different charts for each person and asked to pick that person's real chart based off when they were actually born. So they had non-astrologers then for the blind side of the study who just guessed at random which one of those 5 charts belonged to each person. So the random people that just weren't astrologers and was like, that one, they got 2.4 questions out of 12 correct just by random chance, which is pretty low even for random chance. They got 2.4. The astrologers did barely any better. With out of the 152 astrologers, the best any of them got was 5 out of 12 correct. Even more telling, the astrologers rarely agree with each other on each person. So there'd be one person who was an actual chart, and rarely would 152 of those astrologers even guess the right chart for that person together. So I always knew this was crap, but I'm so glad there's finally like a really well done scientific study to show how crap it is.
Yeah, I mean, that feels like some, was it James Randi shit?
Yeah, very James Randi. I love him.
Very James Randi. In fact, I think I remember him doing something very similar to this, but it was televised, and it was for people who said they could read auras.
Oh, yeah. He's done so much of the telekinetic stuff, too, on TV. It was fantastic, and he made them all fail.
Yeah,
and
James Randi. If you don't know who James Randi is, look him up. He's a professional skeptic who also does some pretty good magic tricks.
Yeah, and there's a lot of more magic. After him, he inspired a lot of magicians to be like, we're skeptics as well, and they want to show people how this was an illusion. But look how cool this is, but it's an illusion. It's not real.
It's okay that it's an illusion. It's still amazing, but...
Yeah. And he was this adorable, like small gay man with a beard.
Guy.
And he was just like, he just loved showing how these were charlatans, and the people who are saying it's real should be shown out how it's fake. And
he carried, I think, a check with him for $10,000 or $20,000.
Yeah,
correctly. Though he was like, if you can demonstrate to my satisfaction psychokinetic abilities, I will make this check out to you. I carry it in my wallet all the time, just in case.
And then the James Randi Foundation increased that amount over time to where it was like almost $1 million or something. If anyone could go under scientific scrutiny and prove their abilities, and no one to this day has been able to claim it.
Has claimed it.
And they'll always claim foul, like, oh, the tests are too stringent, or it's not, they're not being fair.
There were too many lights and the magnetic fields interfere with my thing. We could only do it out in a field at sunset on Mars.
Or too many of you don't believe. That's why it doesn't work. Yeah, exactly. So it's like, but yeah, astrology, it's all fun, but it's bullshit. It doesn't actually mean anything. It's bad.
You want to know what my astrological sign is?
What is it?
Scary Spice.
What? What does that even mean?
I don't know. What's your astrological sign?
Baby
Spice.
Matter.
That's the point.
Obviously.
Ooh, shit. We're both in ginger moons or whatever.
I'm a posh moon. Thank you very much.
Oh, posh moon. I read the chart wrong.
But that brings us to our main segment, all about people with many signs, because there's many of them. Multiplicity. Yeah. What a movie.
That's right. Well, this movie is about Doug Kinney. He's a busy contractor working for a construction company who just doesn't have time for his family or himself. His wife wants to go back to work, but he can't figure out how he could possibly balance that with what he's already doing. He's basically on the edge of losing it. He has a fit at work and meets an eccentric scientist, Dr. Leeds, and his clone. Dr. Leeds offers to clone Doug, promising his time. He says, I sell time. Doug decides to undertake the procedure. He wakes up only to realize that he is the clone. And he's Doug too. He's got a tube behind his ear. And Doug too starts going to work. It causes some trouble at first. But so happy to have some free time, Doug 1 tells his wife to go back to work. Doug 1 thinks he's finally going to get some time for himself. But with Doug 2 working and his wife working, his wife needs help with the kids, and he ends up running them to and from thing, getting his daughter ready for dance pictures. He finds himself suddenly the impromptu coach of his son's football team. And so a couple months pass by. There's some unspecified time jump here. Where it turns out that number 2, Doug's clone, is sick and tired of being all alone. So he goes out on a date with a woman from Doug's office, and they two almost run into each other at dinner because it's their favorite place. I love that joke that's why they were both there. Despite the chaos, once Doug knows that 2 is lonely, he makes the only logical decision. He clones himself again, and then we meet 3. With the plan being that 3 is going to handle the home front, 2 takes on the work, and Doug finally gets to check out a little bit. But soon enough, 2 and 3 are tired of not having their own lives. So they make a clone of a clone, and we meet 4, which, like a copy of a copy, he's a little blurry and not too bright. He calls Doug Steve, which is one of my favorite jokes.
Love you, Steve.
I love you, Steve. I have a license. I'm going to drive. So things progress oddly, and Doug decides to go on a sailing trip to try to clear his mind, and he asks 3 to fill in for him. Through a series of events, and despite some very specific rules set earlier, while he's gone, all 3 clones sleep with his wife in one evening.
She touched my peppy, Steve.
The next day, 2 wakes up with the flu, can't go into work. It's a huge dire thing, an inspector's coming, and 3 heads onto the job site on his behalf. He is immediately in trouble when he keeps trying to walk away to call 2 because he doesn't know anything about this construction project, and Doug is fired from his job. Doug's wife comes home. She runs into 2, who is sick and really not in a good mood and does not talk to her well. She is sick of his shit. She goes out to talk to him in the garage one more time, but it's actually 4 who's wearing like a welding mask and trying to cut a piece of wood that he's holding with his bare hands. And she asks him, she doesn't understand why he changes so much, and she asks him what he wants, and he says, "I want pizza." "Yeah, just give me some pizza." And she thinks that he isn't taking the marriage seriously anymore, so she takes the kids and leaves and goes to her mother's place, leaving him with the idea that he doesn't fix anything. So Doug comes back, finds that everything has fallen apart. He's lost his job. His wife has taken the kids, and now he's got to try to bribe 4 into telling him what his wife said, which is a great scene with Coca-Cola, where he's bribing him with it. It's real good. And he finds out that he doesn't fix anything, as his wife said. So Doug puts the clones to work, and the 4 of them try to finish his mid-construction house. He invites Laura over just for a minute, just to see one thing, and Laura sees all the work. He apologizes. It's heartfelt, and she decides to come back as Doug is going to start his own construction company so he can set his own schedule and have more time for the family. Shortly after this, the clones take the car and strike out on their own to make a new life in Florida. They open a pizza shop called 3 Guys from Nowhere. 2 is the shrewd businessman. 3 is the successful chef. And you'd be so proud of 4. He has 2 jobs. In the morning, he delivers papers. In the afternoon, he delivers pizzas.
By throwing them into people's yards.
Yeah, the final shot is him riding a bike and going, "Here's a pizza," and throwing it like a paper. And it freeze frames on that.
God.
So that's Multiplicity.
Yes.
This is one I know I had seen before.
Oh yeah,
without a doubt.
Long time ago, when I was probably around when it came out.
And I gotta say, this movie holds up really incredibly well.
I thought it did not. So we will talk about that.
Are we talking about in story elements or in like the carrying off the fact that there's 4 of them?
No, a little bit of both. Let's talk about good things first.
Okay.
Good things.
Good things. It holds up really well.
I say Michael Keaton showing his acting chops here, just being able to, I think it's sometimes very subtly showing the different characters, the different clones, and sometimes a little over the top, but also just like all the stuff Michael Keaton can do. He can just, he's pretty damn amazing. He can just like be comedic. He can be serious. He can be vulnerable. He can be, soft. He can be tough guy. And all the different voices he was doing, like it's crazy. Like I wish he had done so much more in his career because he didn't do too much for many years there. and he's fantastic. It's Michael Keaton. He's wonderful.
I agree. 4 Michael Keatons is the only thing better than 3 Michael Keatons.
Yeah, exactly. And also, oh my God, Annie McDowell was always a crush of mine. And my wife and I have a joke that I have a crush on so many women that I think I liked when I was younger, and I still have a crush on them. If you've seen Annie McDowell now, she's probably like 60 years old. She looks fantastic. She looks exactly the same. We call her a woman of a certain age. That's what Jarman is a crush on. And she's one of them. Oh my God. She's in that accent. She's that slight Southern Belle accent. She's just like talking very sweet and very kind. And like, oh my God.
I was watching this movie and thinking, how many times do you think her and Mary Steenburgen lost roles to each other?
Yeah, that's exactly.
Like, how many times were they up for the same roles?
Like the dark-haired, lovely Southern belle, just like, oh my God. Yeah, absolutely.
Same age demographic approximately.
You're absolutely correct. Oh my gosh. Also, the music was so typical of the early 90s, like just like jaunty and like cute and like sometimes like sweeping little, almost like it could be like a Robin Williams movie, the way the music was playing. I don't know. But I really liked it. It was really, really well orchestrated. But what are some good things about the movie you thought?
I mean, I think it holds up really well. No, Michael Keaton, real good. You're right. Huge dynamic range. Great comedy. Like, God, once Steve got on, not Steve, once 4 got on.
The guy who calls everyone Steve, yeah.
The guy who calls everyone Steve. It's just, he stole every single scene he was in. was his scene.
He's like a child.
Over and over and over again, it was his scene.
She touched my pee-pee.
Touched my pee-pee. My pee-pee. I want pizza. Good acting throughout, some good supporting cast. You get, what's his name from
Eugene Levy.
Q.
Oh, Q. John Delancey was in it. Yeah.
John Delancey was in there. Even the guy who played his boss and the secretary are both people that you would recognize from something.
Yeah, they've been in a lot of stuff.
Even the dance studio teacher was someone who I was like, I think she was in Groundhog Day. I think that's what I know her from.
And the guy who plays the inspector. He was in Beetlejuice with Michael Keaton.
Yeah.
The guy, the doctor who does the cloning, he was in Ghostbusters and other things too.
Yeah, Ghostbusters too. Yeah. So everyone is like someone you know from something, which makes it that much more impressive.
Yeah.
And I agree, the music was kind of a throw, like it fit the time, but it wasn't anything amazing.
No, it wasn't amazing. It's just kind of like, oh, this is this comfort music kind of thing for me. Yeah.
And I think that some of the stuff they did with there being multiple of them, of course, leaned on old school camera tricks, Hollywood tricks, stuff that's been used in time memoriam since they needed people to be doubled on screen.
Yeah, from like Parent Trap back in the day.
They also did some really incredible shots that took some real, not only those sort of tricks, but matched them with what computers could do at the time to pull off a couple really incredible shots, a couple that were not so good.
Yeah. The couch scene being one in particular.
The couch scene, and then when they're shaving, all shaving in the mirror, and he needs to talk to 3 to ask him to like fill in for him while he's on his boat trip. That had moments where it looked good, and then as soon as people like moved too much,
it looked a little funky. Yeah,
it got real funky around the edges. But the shot I'm thinking of is when he's trying to bribe 4 with Coca-Cola. There is that shot, the Corridor crew who like break down CGI and stuff.
Oh yeah, I've seen their videos. YouTube.
They do one where they review that shot and they're like blown away at how they pulled it off.
Mm-hmm.
That he like is able to be in the frame, pour the Coke into the thing, and then have him pick it up and drink it.
And he picks up so fast and drinks it too, like just bam, drinks it.
Right. There's no time for a cut there, and like so there are some really impressive technical things kind of buried in this movie.
That's true, and we'll get into some of that in the trivia as well. Some bad things. So first of all, this is like it could be with any movie. Not where it doesn't hold up well, but it's just that they don't do enough for me on the technology side of things, where like this would be so monumentous, and they just give this technology to clone some random guy, and they have no oversight of what he's going to do with these clones or consequences. He can just do whatever he wants, makes multiple clones. His clone makes a clone. Like who's paying attention to this? I wish they went back a little bit to show that side of things. There could have been a B plot of like the technology of the clones,
or just anything to show that the doctor was like a mad scientist in some way.
He's nuts. He's a nut job.
Like, this is a terrible idea. There's some headline later where he's been arrested for illegal cloning.
That would have been fun. Yeah, like some kind of afterthought.
Anything. But you're absolutely right. I'm like, what is the aftermath? Not if, when this gets figured out.
And it's real bad for society.
Figured out. Also, how many times has he done this? I agree. There are a lot of big questions and big, just we'll say suspension of disbelief kind of moments.
Which I recognize for this purposes of this movie was not important. The point was not the technology, the science behind it. It was just, here's the conceit, just go with it kind of thing. I will say, watching this, I remember loving this movie when I was a kid. But now, watching it now, I just didn't find it as funny. I thought a lot of the moments were just like really basic slapstick and toilet humor, and then also just really cringy humor, which would bring me to the next point of like the kind of chauvinism, how he treats his wife in this movie, full of gender stereotypes, but which I guess is weird for me to think that's almost appropriate for the time. A movie that I was like, 96, this isn't that long ago, but that's almost 30 years ago. So I recognize now that like, oh, wow, we have come a long way, but we still have a lot farther to go, because the way he talks about her getting a job, the way he's just like, I don't do those things around the house because I'm a man. I don't do these things. And it's like, it just felt very dated. So that's why I didn't think it aged as well as it could have. Whereas, like, it's fine people having these roles, but the fact that she wanted to get out of those roles, he took that very, like, weirdly, and it took him, like, consolidating his clone identities to understand the fact that his wife wants to have a double life like he does. It was just kind of like, it just felt, and also the fact that they all, the first clone immediately cheats on his wife within, like, a few days. And it's like, you've loved this woman your whole life, as far as you know, even though you're a clone. And you're already
there was some sort of indeterminate time jump there. That's what I mentioned.
You did mention
that. I really do think it was classified as a couple months.
Whereas there came he recognizes now he's not going to have his wife, so he needs to find something else. That's true. They could have
right. And he even points out, like, I'm alone. I go to work. I come home. I hide in the garage.
Yeah.
So I'm going to disagree with you, because what you are saying is the clever writing that led to them externalizing something that in a script would typically have to be fully internalized by an actor. Mm-hmm. The internal struggle of him trying to be the man, fulfill those roles, and then him coming to terms with himself is often like, oh, it's all inside. You got to act inside his face. But this time he got to actually act it out with another character. So, you're right. At the beginning, he does have that chauvinist attitude, but ultimately he has a good heart behind it. And then later on, when confronted with 2, which is like all of his chauvinist, all of his go-getter,
right,
he backs down.
And I like
the moment.
What did save it a little bit for me is that when he talked to 3, and 3's the emotional kind of like support kind of person. I like that one scene. It kind of saved it a little bit for me when he talked to 3, and 3's like, you haven't been there for her, like that kind of thing. And 3 talks to him, and like he's the emotional core of Doug. And like, I like that he at least come to terms with it a little bit with 3. So that was a good scene there. Towards the end of the movie.
The scene where they're in the bathroom washing each other's faces, even in that, when he's like, look, I'm alone, when he gives that speech, like, look, I'm alone. I have nothing but work and nothing else. And Doug once says, well, sorry, I didn't know you felt that way.
Mm-hmm.
All right, but right now we need to get them out of here. But like, even him taking that moment of realization, even watching it, I went, oh, that was like a nice acting moment there.
Yeah.
So I'm going to disagree in that I think that it had to be that pitched at the beginning to make the transition occur later through such a big externalized process that wouldn't typically happen.
And I would say for the time, it's just weird for me to think of at the time because 96 feels like it wasn't that long ago, even though it was almost 30 years ago.
Oh, it was forever ago.
And so like,
you were 10, dude.
Yeah. And like, so that was, at the time, that was almost like a representation of what men were coming to terms with at the time, that more and more women were going to work. And you need to come to terms with the fact that you all need to balance all the responsibilities. And I think this maybe was a good time capsule of that moment of a man being segmented into these different parts of his life. If you want to look at it in a big philosophical way, that it's kind of true. You know, it's like, so maybe that was kind of at the time was important to see these different aspects of each of your personality, you know, and coming to terms with it. So, yeah. But there's the other thing was that today would not fly, but I get that what was happening in the movie was that each of them sleep with her in that scene, and technically that's sexual assault because she didn't know that those weren't really her husband necessarily, but they kind of were her husband because they're clones. So I don't think that scene would fly these days because they all sleep with her and she doesn't know who they are really, and so it's kind of strange in a way. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I guess.
They wouldn't do that today is all I'm saying. It's too much on the line to where it could be like, it's basically sexual assault because she's sleeping with someone she thinks is someone else and it's not
I don't know, but think of it from the clones' perspective.
They've known her their whole lives.
Every one of them remembers sleeping with her.
Yes.
You know,
and that's the thing. That's the thing.
Like, she was in some ways stolen from them unwillingly.
Yeah, it wasn't their fault necessarily
in that regard. Right.
But in theory, they should all be honest with her, and that they should know. But I mean,
but 4 can't be blamed. If anything, she took advantage of him because he's got the mind of a child.
Yes, 4 can't be blamed. I'm not blaming 4. 2 and 3, I have some issue with.
They
4
are on the hook.
4, he's pee-pee and everything. It's all.
She touched my pee-pee.
Oh, God.
I'm not kidding though. The moment that 4 was on screen, every moment, every scene he was in was his scene. When they're shaving and he comes out just covered in shaving cream after shaving his tongue.
And he's like, should he have that razor? He's like, oh, we took the blades out of it a long time ago.
Is that safe? Oh, we took the blade out.
We shave him while he's sleeping. It's fine.
When 2 is sick with the flu and 3's like, you're staying in bed. And the end is 4 wearing goggles and a boot on his head with a saw. And he's like, we're going to have to cut that leg off, Steve.
We can't save it.
Every scene with 4 was his scene.
And to imagine that's still Michael Keaton doing that.
It's
all that
still
craziness.
Michael Keaton.
But yeah,
I mean, I really enjoyed this, and I think it holds up better than you're giving it credit, but that's fair.
But I just remember really, really liking it when I was a kid, and I'm like, there's some problematic stuff, and it's like, it wasn't as funny as I remember, and the dialogue wasn't as clever as I remember it being. But it's still a great concept. Michael Keaton's fantastic. It's still worth watching. Andy McDowell's great, and there's, like you said, the supporting cast so good. Yeah, it's a fun movie. Almost could be redone today in our today's standards, and it'd be kind of fun to redo it in some way. And they could focus more on the technology, the science behind it, that kind of thing.
2 of my favorite circumstances in the movie that we didn't talk about in all of this are the reasons he has to come up with why he's dressed different.
Yeah.
He's like, oh, I spilled coffee on the first shirt, and then I went out through the back door, went to my car, got a second shirt that I keep there in case of emergencies, came in through the front door in the shirt I'm wearing now, and I'm going to go back into that meeting. But when I come out, I'm going to have gone down to my truck and gotten the original shirt.
Because it'll be dry, and now I can put it back on. I like that shirt.
When you see me, I'll be wearing that shirt.
It's like you could have improvised that whole scene.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
And then when they're coming out of the bathroom at the restaurant when they're almost been caught with the wife and the secretary, and she's like, Doug, were you wearing a different jacket? He goes, oh yeah, well me and the guy in the bathroom, we traded jackets. It's just one of those things guys do sometimes.
That's what these guys do sometimes. Yeah. So some trivia for this. This is going back to what Steve was talking about with the effects of this movie. In filming the shot in which Doug number 1 introduces Doug number 3 to Doug number 2, Doug number 2 tosses a beer to Doug number 1. So Michael Keaton catching the beer tossed by a body double was shot first. So Keaton tossing the beer, this time to a body double, was filmed later. But Keaton's toss so perfectly matched the body double's original toss that the planned special effect of digitally erasing the tossed beer can, then adding in a digital beer can, was not needed, thereby saving the production quite a bit of money. So this was referred to by the special effects crew from then on as the $1 million miracle beer can toss, because he basically tossed it so perfectly from the original shot, they didn't have to do any digital editing in the afterwards. So back in 96, it was so expensive to do that. So it saved them a ton of money. So just a chance. Michael Keaton doesn't wear a wedding ring throughout the whole movie to prevent continuity errors, which I didn't notice. He's not wearing a wedding ring. I noticed this while we were watching this. Because Jolie was watching this part with me. The construction project that Doug is working on is called Vista de Nada, which is Spanish for view of nothing. This is basically, this like subdivision, which is a view of nothing. Michael Keaton was originally considered for Bill Murray's role in Groundhog Day, which was also directed by Harold Ramis. And his love interest in that movie was also Andie MacDowell, who played his wife in this film. But Michael Keaton turned that down. That's why Bill Murray got Groundhog Day, which is crazy. In the scene when Doug's getting cloned for the first time, he mentions he doesn't want to turn out like Jeff Goldblum in The Fly. And Michael Keaton was offered the lead role of that movie, Seth Brundle, but he also turned that one down. So basically, this is a lot of Michael Keaton turning down, I think, better movies for this movie. He could have been in Groundhog Day and The Fly, but instead we have him in Multiplicity.
I'm okay with him not being in The Fly.
Yeah, that's fine.
But Groundhog Day, I don't know. Like, it's hard to say. Like, Groundhog Day, would have been an entirely different movie with him in it.
True.
And then the question becomes, like, would it have become a classic then?
Yeah, I think he has.
Or would Bill Murray have taken Multiplicity, and that's the classic?
I think he could have played the sad sack character that Groundhog Day was with Bill Murray, but Bill Murray is such an iconic Bill Murray performance in Groundhog Day. It's hard to say, but I think if anybody could have done it, Michael Keaton could have done that role. I think it could have worked. But anyways, so yeah, that's our trivia for Multiplicity. I think Steve has a bit for us today.
Oh, that's right. Well, this week I've got a game I'm going to call Name and Profession. Well, I've got some of Michael Keaton's most famous movies. I'm going to tell you a character's first name and their profession, and you need to tell me the movie.
Oh, I love this. All right. Fantastic.
All right, you ready? Bruce, millionaire playboy.
Thanks to the softball for the first one. That's Batman.
Yep. Proof of concept.
Perfect.
All right. Riggin, flailing actor.
Birdman?
That's right.
All right.
I'd look up his name was just Riggin.
I didn't know that. Okay, yeah. But flailing actor gave it for me. Okay.
All right. Ray, milkshake machine salesman and entrepreneur.
I'm forgetting the name of the movie, but it's the one about the history of McDonald's.
I'll give you a half point for that one.
Thank you.
The Founder.
The Founder. That's what it was called.
Ray Kroc.
Ray Kroc, yeah.
All right. Hunt, and he's an auto union rep.
That is Gung Ho.
That is Gung Ho.
I think I've seen part of it, but I've never seen the whole thing.
Johnny, a newsboy turned criminal.
That is Johnny Dangerously.
That is Johnny Dangerously.
Hey, wait, I got a quote from that movie. Somebody tried to do that to me once. Yeah.
All right. Jack, who's a stay-at-home dad?
That'd be Jack Frost.
No,
what?
You bitch.
Oh, shit.
It's one of his earlier hits, like one of the ones that put him on the map, Mr. Mom.
Oh, yes. Okay, never mind.
All right. Lawrence, and he's an exterminator and relocation expert.
Exterminator and relocation expert. Crap. I don't know. So that one I'm going to say Jack Frost.
Beetlejuice.
What? Oh, relocation of dead bodies?
Relocation of the living and extermination.
Okay, yes. Shit.
And in Beetlejuice the musical, they canonically clarified that his first name is Lawrence.
Oh, wow.
For some reason.
Well, shit.
All right. That's not bad. You got 5.5 out of 7 points. That's pretty good.
That's pretty good. All right. I had some of those old ones like the Gung Ho and the Johnny Dangerous.
Yeah. Gung Ho is great. It probably does not hold up.
He starts like a Union Revolution or something like that, doesn't he?
Kind of. As Toyota's trying to bail out his Rust Belt town. Yeah.
Something like that. Exactly. Oh, well, that was fantastic. We'll bring some radical recommends.
Recommend.
If you have the means, I highly recommend picking one up.
What do you recommend I do?
I recommend Pleasant.
All right. So nothing too exciting this time around, but I am catching up on a lot of old shows because I stopped playing any video games for a while in between my recording sessions. Instead, I'm just catching up on old shows. And last time, I think I talked about Walking Dead spinoffs that I've been catching up on. This time, it's the Twilight Zone, the rebooted Twilight Zone, which is produced and hosted by Jordan Peele. The first season was great. I watched it a long time ago, but I had never watched season 2, and it was actually really a lot of fun. They're like not too gritty, not too scary, not too serious or horror oriented, but just like interesting and fun. And I think it was canceled early because Black Mirror was a competition at the time. But you can stream it now on Amazon Prime Video. It's a lot of fun. Watch 1 and 2 if you haven't watched them already. And then I was catching up on American Horror Story, seasons 9, 10, and 11, because there's a lot of seasons of that show. And sometimes they're pretty dark, but season 9 was a lot of fun. It all took place in a summer camp in the 1980s, which is a lot of fun. Season 10 was broken up into 2 stories. One was about a pill that unlocks your creative potential, but you also crave human blood. So you're like a vampire, basically, but without immortality. And then the second half was all about alien abductions, basically combining every conspiracy theory from the last 80 years about aliens. They actually got really accurate about a lot of the stories of things that might be true about aliens. It was kind of fun. And then season 11, I'm finishing up now. It's all about the gay panic and AIDS epidemic of the 1980s. It's really dark and gritty and bloody and gory, and so it's not really my thing. But if you're into that kind of thing, season 11 is there. But 9 and 10 were a lot of fun. So just throwing that out there if you're into that horror stuff. But I mean,
we are actually right now rewatching Hotel, which is season 5.
With Lady Gaga, I think. Is that Hotel?
Yeah, Lady Gaga.
Yeah.
And the normal cast of characters.
How far have you guys rewatching, you said?
Yeah, rewatching. We've watched, I want to say seasons 1 through 6, or 1 through 7. I really liked Coven, which I know is not everyone's favorite.
I liked Coven a lot. Yeah.
Freak Show was so bad.
It was
just was.
Yeah, it was bloody and
it was
fun.
bad. Asylum is good. The original one is pretty good.
Asylum's creepy. Yep.
The Apocalypse one is pretty good. I didn't really dig the Roanoke one or the.
It's okay.
It was just okay.
I would say 9 is one of my favorites so far. The 1980s one. It's like a slasher, the typical camper slash kind of thing, like Friday the 13th.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'd check it out once you go further than your rewatch. But 11 is pretty dark. Yeah, it's too real, if I would say, if anything.
Okay, fair.
But yeah. But that brings us to trailer reviews.
All right, this week I chose Jurassic World Rebirth. That it looks like a Jurassic Park movie with the thinnest premise.
Yeah, what is the premise?
The premises. The premise of it is that they made a scientific breakthrough to cure cancer or something. But they need blood from the 3 biggest dinosaurs.
Oh, God. Is that what it was? I couldn't even tell.
And there's yet another island that isn't any of the other islands we've seen, like a fourth island where they did all the research and development for the original island, and there are dinosaurs there that were too dangerous for Jurassic Park.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. There's no kids. I'm proud of them for not putting children in this, because that is literally like how they drove the plot and tension of 4 of the other films. The first 3 and then Jurassic World were all driven by child endangerment. The last 2 didn't work because there were no children, so there were no child endangerment. That's why they failed. And why I think this one will fail too. They couldn't come up with enough excuses to put children in danger with dinosaurs.
How many Jurassic World films have there been? There's been
3.
There's 3 already. I thought there was just 2.
Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom, and Jurassic World third one that had like Ian Malcolm and
I don't even know if I saw that one
in them.
I don't even know if that existed.
Yeah. So now this is a new one. So I don't have a lot of hope for this film. My only good for them is it doesn't look like they're trying to rehash any of the old characters. They're not trying to drag Sam Neill out again. It's going to be a very different kind of adventure than prior adventures here. Like, it looks like they're just embracing, like, this is just a cool dinosaur adventure.
Yep,
that's what it is, guys. Scarlett Johansson, okay. She's the comic relief, I guess.
The snarky military type person, I guess.
Okay, sure.
Hard to tell.
The guy that needs babysat looks perfectly capable, and they're just trying to put him in like Clark Kent glasses.
He's like the new It guy. He was from Bridgerton, and then he was just now in Wicked. He played the handsome prince type character.
Guy. I guess I didn't realize that was him.
Yeah, now he's in Jurassic World. He's kind of having his moment, but they're making him more nerdy.
So yeah.
It's got Mahershala Ali, who was gonna play Blade, but Blade's been like pushed back a million times.
So many times. Who knows if it's happening anymore?
I don't see anything original here or any reason to go back to this place. I put the last 2 movies were so forgettable. I don't remember a single thing that happened in them, even though I guess there was 3. I didn't remember the third one. But yeah, I think you're right in the fact that they're gonna just embrace that it's just about cool dinosaurs and explosions and stuff, and not really go for, because the trailer doesn't reveal a lot about the plot, just a lot of scenes of dinosaurs chasing people and shooting guns and things, falling off cliffs.
That being said, I can already tell you the big reveal of the big monster.
It's part human.
Already tell you, because they've been talking about this for like 3 fucking movies now, about how like we kept thinking about putting it in, blah, 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 and then it always got cut from the final. And I'm like, all they showed was one goofy claw that was bent like a knuckle dragging like gorilla. That's like the one shot you got of the big thing. And I'm like, okay, so it's like a big gorilla Tyrannosaurus.
It's like part human, part Tyrannosaurus or something.
Right. Part primate or some shit.
Yeah.
But we finally going to get it. Good for you guys, I guess. But yeah, so I'm going to give this one, Raul Julia, and he wakes up. Why am I awake right now? He's looking around, and he's like, God, why is my bed wet? And he reaches over and he turns on the light, and he realizes that there's blood. Not like a crazy amount of blood, but like what happened? What? And Gary Busey is by the side of his bed with a giant cartoonishly sized syringe. And he's like, sorry, Raul, I just needed your DNA. I'm going to go cure cancer now. And he army crawls out of the room with this giant oversized syringe.
Oh, what a terrible life they lead. My review for this trailer is, so Raul comes home after a long day at work, and Gary's like, Raul, I just need to go out of the house. I got to do something fun. Can we see a movie? He's like, all right, Gary. Looks like takes out the newspaper as you find movies in the newspaper, like you still do, of course. He says, "Oh, the only thing playing at the Cineplex is Jurassic Park, Jurassic World Rebirth." And Gary says, "No, I'm good." just wants to go back to sleep. Even a rabid Gary Busey who wants to get out of the house wants to stay home for this movie.
He was really hoping that Raul was going to say like putt-putt golf or something.
Yeah, that'd be fun. Yeah, anything but this.
It's like, I didn't even know they made a 7th film.
I'm good, Raul. I'm gonna go drink my own blood.
Am I in this movie? Then nah, I'm good.
I don't think so, Gary. Yes. Good times.
Good times. Great oldies. Cool 100.
Well, that brings us to the end of episode 217 of A Play on Nerds. Please join us next time to celebrate the release of the new live-action Snow White film from Disney, where we, of course, are going to talk about the classic horror adaptation of the classic Snow White tale by talking about the film Snow White, A Tale of Terror.
Starring Sigourney Weaver.
Of course. And Sam Neill of
Sam Neill.
Jurassic Park fame. What are the chances?
All of that and more next episode. Come on back and be our nerdy audience. We will come on back and be your nerdy co-hosts. Thanks again, Internet.
Stay nerdy, my friends.
Thanks for listening to A Play on Nerds. Feel free to email feedback at aplayonnerds.com with all your questions or comments.
Shoot us a message on Facebook or Twitter and earn yourself a sweet shout out on the show.
Review us on YouTube, Spotify, or Apple Podcasts so even more nerds can find us. Tell your friends, tell your enemies, we aren't picky.
Check out our entire back catalog and other offerings at aplayonnerds.com.
And how?